Hello and welcome to another live video. I'm not really doing these that frequently. I know I started off doing the 2 o'clock Tuesday tripneek, but that kind of fell in a heap. So now I'm just kind of doing videos as I can, and today it's Friday, so I thought I'd call this one a fun Friday film. And I know it's not a film, but I thought I'd do a video just showing you a technique that I was playing around with using the January stamp of the month. So if you don't know me, my name's Charlotte Burns. I'm a close to my heart maker, and this stamp here is available right now during the month of January only. It is super cute, and I just thought I'd show you something that I've been doing with it. So here is the card that I created, and I got ideas from all over the place, but that's the little card there using the mouse on the card. You can see I haven't put any sentiment on there because I don't want to, but there's the mouse, and I'm going to show you in this video how I've coloured it in, just giving you a couple of tips on colouring with alcohol markers, and also how I constructed this card as well. It may be a little bit of a long video, so apologies beforehand. You can always come back and view it. I'd love you to say hi. I can kind of see the comments, but not that well. I can see a couple of people are watching live, so hi to those who are watching live. Okay, but let's get into this. So how did I create this effect? I definitely used 3D foam tape, and I'm just looking around hoping that I do have enough 3D foam tape to create my next card. I should do. So I've used the Close to My Heart 3D foam tape. It comes in like two different thicknesses. That's what I'm looking for. So you've got the regular 3D foam tape, which is yay thick. Hopefully you can see that okay. And then there's the thin 3D foam tape that is not quite as thick. So it's not as thick as some. The thin 3D foam tape is roughly half the thickness of the regular 3D foam tape, and my apologies for the camera shaking if that's coming up on your screen. What it is I am sitting in the caravan, and the caravan is shaking and the table is shaking, so the camera that's attached to the table is also shaking. But anyway, back to the 3D foam tape. All right, so it comes in the regular 3D foam tape and the thin 3D foam tape, and it also, so say you buy the regular 3D foam tape, it comes in a wide and a narrow, and you'll see I've got a couple of tips with that as well. So I've used 3D foam tape, I've used one of our card bases, and I've also used some just some white cardstock. So let me grab that, and I'll show you how I've also used alcohol markers that I'll go through in a minute when I start to colour. So that's the finished product. As I said, I can probably leave that to the side. There's my card base, so it's just a plain card base, and then what I've done is I've cut, because our card bases are 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches, I have simply, it's very windy outside, I've simply cut a piece of cardstock that is 1/4 inch smaller on both sides. So this is 5 1/4 by 4 inches. Let's just put that there. So I cut that. Then what I did was I actually stamped the little Mouseketeer, stamped that onto the card topper, and then I actually used a stitch circle die to cut around the mouse. Now, the reason I did that is because Close to My Heart dies, the circle dies, are quite wide. So the distance from one die to the next is quite a big gap, and I wanted a smaller gap. We used to have the stitch circle dies, and they were a smaller gap between the stitch circle and the regular circle. So I did that, cut that one out, and then I chose the next size down, so the circle the next size down. If I pop that behind there, you can see, and I cut that out of a smaller piece, which, let me just measure it down here, it was 3 inches by 3 inches. So it was just something that I could cut the circle out of, as well as having a gap on the side, so I could put 3D foam tape on there. Now when I did this, I did try and measure it so that that would fit nice and square to the edges there, and there's a reason for that, that when I do the construction of this you'll see why. However, if you look, it's not actually central, unless I've done it. No, I haven't done it that way. Haven't done it that way. Did I do it that way? No. It's not actually perfectly central, which is a bit of a pain, so that's going to have to come over a bit, but that's okay. Just as long as, you know, you've got that gap, because that then goes over the top of this to create that 3-layer effect, like so. Alright, so first thing I do is I actually colour this in. Now, to get that perfect effect, I colour it in while it's all together, and then I pop it out. Now, you can always colour it in before you cut it out, but that's not what I did. My other cards are over there. So I put this back together again. Now, I have a bit of a habit of not being able to colour when the image is straight, which is not so good. I have to have it on a bit of an angle. So excuse the angle. Here's my image. It should be straight in the actual card, and I'm just going to put it on an angle because it's more comfortable for my hand. The alcohol markers that I'm using are the Triblend by Spectrum Noir. I absolutely love these markers. They are markers that Close to My Heart sell. One of the reasons why I bought them in the first place, because I tend to only use Close to My Heart products. I sell them, therefore I use them. But the reason I really love these markers, if you haven't heard me talk about them before, is because they actually have 3 shades of the same colour in the one pen. So you have a light, just going to take this off and turn it around, a light, a mid and a dark, all in the same pen. So they go together perfectly. Now, what I did was I actually coloured the little Mouseketeer's ears in this colour, and this is the Antique Pink Blend. It's a new colour to me. I hadn't used it before, but it's absolutely gorgeous. Let me just show you the little ears. Just beautiful. So I coloured the ears in that, and I also used this is the blender. A blending marker is not for blending, it's actually for taking colour away. So I used the blender marker because the light of the Antique Pink Blend wasn't actually light enough for me. I wanted it a bit lighter. So I used the blender just to take that colour away, and as I said, you'll see that when I colour in this one. I also used dull green, my favourite green out of the whole range, even though Close to My Heart brought out a second range of the alcohol markers. Dull green still remains my #1 go-to green, just something I like. So I use that. Now I use this on the leaves of the flower, and I also use it on this funny little floor. And I also used some of the citrus blend on the little ground bit, and then for the actual body of the mouse and the head, I used the brown grey blend. So they are the ones that I used. As I said, Antique Pink, I used dull green, citrus blend, the brown grey, let me see if I can get all of these straight, and the blender pen. Alright, now what I might do is just colour in the mouse and leave the bottom bit just so that you can see the difference between colouring and not colouring the base. If you don't colour the base, so if you don't give it a floor, it kind of makes the mouse look like it's just floating in air, which is not the effect that I wanted. And also it doesn't really give that effect of coming onto the card. So it's just a pretty plain card. Colouring in the mouse, I started with the ears just because I wanted to, and what I did was I just coloured them like you would normally colour anything, just on the inside like this. And then I got the medium, which is this one here, and I just went underneath this little bit here and out the where the dark bit of hair is. The reason for that is just to give it a little bit of shading. So it naturally is shaded where there's an overlap And so that's what I did. And then I got the blender pen and just took a little bit of colour off the whole lot, like so. So whenever you're doing a shading technique, if you look at anything that's sitting on top of another object, so you can see here there is a bit of a shadow, which lets us know that this is sitting on top of this card, and that's why we know that the, I'll grab a pen, this bit of the ear here is sitting in front of or on top of the back bit, and that's why I put the shading there. Hopefully that makes sense. Alright, so we've done the inside of the ear. Now let's go for the actual body. With the body, I wanted to use the lightest brown grey that I had. So I'm just going to go over just the head with my brown grey. The smaller the area that you colour in, the better you're going to have in blending colours and making it more even. So I'm just going to give the ears a little bit of darkness, as well as just under that, so at the top of the head, and then I'm going to come down around one side of the face in just a little bit, under the eyes a couple of dots, under the mouth, because again that's all going to cause a shadow, the whiskers, and then on this side of the head I'm actually going to come out a little bit more because I'm imagining that the light is coming from this side, so it's going to be a little bit more shaded on that side. Now after I've done the medium, I'll come back and go over it with the light, and that will help to blend it all in. And you won't see much, but that now has just a little bit of shading. I'll lift that up. Hopefully you'll be able to see it a bit more. Okay. Michelle, you love this stamp set. Yes, so do I. I've been playing with it this morning and last night, making lots of cards, and it is just awesome. All right, so back to the light. Now, I'm actually going to go back with the medium because I don't feel like that really brought much shading to my little Mouseketeer. So I'm going to go back with the light. Back with the medium. All right, now to the body. Now with the body, what I want is, because the arms are towards the back, I want them a bit darker. Also around this, I want to really highlight the belly. I want it to be a lot lighter than the rest of the body. And the feet are going to be darker just because of the fact that they're down low. Also, again, I want the right-hand side to be darker than the left because the sun's coming from the left, and so that side is going to be darker. So I'm actually going to go in with medium first. And also the other thing that we need to do is put a little bit of a shadow underneath the head, because the head is sticking out from the body, so that's going to cause a shadow. So I'm going to come all the way out to that fur with the medium marker, and then there with that. You'll notice that I'm leaving the lid off these two. That's just because I'm using them constantly, so I don't have a concern that they're going to dry out or anything. Now I'm going over just that little bit there, and then I will colour the whole lot in again, and hopefully that will blend in nicely. There we go. Now with this colour, it's not really showing the blending that much. I have noticed that I've gone outside the lines, ooh la la, just here. So again, I can take my blender and just colour in there, and that will take away that colour. At the moment it's, it might have even gone already, but because it was wet, it was showing there was a mark there, but it has actually cleared up now. And there's my little mouse. Now, you can't see much of the blending, but there is a little bit of shading. If I just coloured that mouse in all one colour, there wouldn't be the highlight, so the highlight of the neck and so forth. Hello, Bev. Nice to hear from you. So glad you could join me. All right, next I'm going to colour the flower, and I'm not going to worry too much about blending and shading and everything. It's a fairly small area, so I'm just going to pick the darkest, which is the brightest of this yellow. It's a gorgeous yellow, and colour that in. And then I'm going to grab my mid of the dull green and do the leaves. And then that's my little mouse. All right. So if we have a look at this, I'm actually going to layer this. If I can find, there it is. Okay. So if I layer this now, just roughly, just so you can see, layer, layer. That's like liar, liar, pants on fire. Layer, layer, pants on fire. Layer that compared to that. See how the mouse doesn't look like it's floating. So this one, it's just kind of sitting there. It's not really grounded or anything, whereas this one, the mouse is definitely grounded. So that's what I'm trying to achieve. The other thing you may or may not notice is I've tried to add more colour and darker colour under the mouse where a shadow would be. Just thinking about that now though, the shadow, seeing as the sun's coming from here, the shadow probably should be more on that area, but you know, let's not get technical. Okay, I'm going to take this middle piece away again and line my little Mouseketeer up. Michelle, kids left the lid off one of mine overnight. Oh, the markers. Put lid on, sat in cup, aimed toward nib, and it has come back. Awesome. That is fantastic. I actually pulled out one of these the other day, and obviously it has been used a lot because the light is quite dry. So I might actually try that tip and put it up the other way. All right. Now, the most important thing for me is making sure this little mouse is actually up the right way and not on a bit of an angle, just because of my OCD. Let's call it that. Happy with that. Okay. Then I'm going to put the whole thing on an angle because of my inability to draw or write anything straight. Okay. Then I'm going to use all three of these shades to get this effect. Please don't ask me what that's called, but it is an effect that people use when they're using alcohol markers. In there also is a little bit of this yellow just to give it a little bit more colour, more than anything else. Now I start off with the light, and literally I don't draw a line, but I dot a kind of a line as to what I want to do with this picture. The first little mouse that I did, I might actually compare that. Give me a second. I'll grab that one. So this will be the third mouse that I've done. So the first mouse I did, the line was lower, so it was lower than his tail. And looking at the two, I don't know if I should do it above or below the tail. I actually don't mind it, this one that's where it's below the tail. So I might go with that again. I might go with that. Yep, all right. I'm going to go below the tail. Hi, Pauline. You love the mouse. Haven't been travelling much, actually. We have been in Port Macquarie for a month now. We leave tomorrow. So looking forward to continuing with our trip. All right, so I'm going to go out across here, and what I found through just experience is when I'm dotting, if I kind of dot while going around in circles, it doesn't look like I'm doing a straight line, which is good because I don't want it to look like I'm doing a straight line. Now hopefully you can still see what I'm doing. I'm just going to shift that up a little bit. So I just do dots around in a circle configuration, but coming out towards the edge, if I show you this one again, I try and taper it out to a thin line. So at some point, and I also want it fairly straight, so at some point I need to just sort of finish it. I'm going to say about there. So I'll just do some guidelines to there. That looks like it's going up actually, which is fine. I will just take this line up a bit. Okay. And then I'm just going to do some round and round, and the camera's probably moving even more now that I'm doing round and round. Tapping on the table. So just some dots. With the base layer, so this light green, I like to fill it in kind of as much as possible, because that will just give the other colours a bit more base to go over rather than being sort of out on their own. And it does take a little while, so that's why I might, depending on how I'm going, I might split this into 2 videos and show you how to put the actual card together in a different video. So if I'm going to do the shadow going this way, I might just go like this. And yeah, so I'll do this live and then I will come back in and show how to put the card together. And again, I want to go out onto this side as well, because it just ties the whole thing together if I'm out on the side as well. But I don't want to go deep straight away. I just want to do like that. So I'm actually going to come down a bit, try and give the mouse a shadow more to the right. Rather boring to watch, however, when you're doing it, I tend to get into a bit of a, I don't know, meditative state, let's say. It's like with any sort of colouring, I guess. Alright, so that's not a bad coverage. I just want to come in and do a little bit more over here. So you don't want a solid look, but certainly with the base layer you do want to get as much in as you can. Now the next bit, you can either do the yellow or a second colour, or you can keep going with your shades. With one of these, so I believe it was this one, I did the medium yellow, where this one I did the dark yellow, and after I started doing the dark yellow I thought, no, that doesn't work. So I'm going to go back to the medium yellow, which is this one here. And again, this one I don't put in as many dots because it's just a kind of a highlight colour, and this is a great technique just to try all sorts of different colours. I don't have to stick with yellow and green. I could always try a blue through there, or you can really try whatever, just experiment, have a bit of fun. So I don't want too many dots. That's fine. The main thing for me is keeping the circle and the rectangle together, because I don't want them to shift at all. All right, I'm going to go to the mid. Now the mid is supposed to then be more shadow shading as well as highlighting. So again, in this one you can see, hopefully you can see the dots. I've got some dark and mid through to the edges, but mostly in this area here where there's a shadow, and that's what I want again. So just a couple of the mediums out to the edges, making sure it's not looking like it's in a line. And then I'm going to do more concentrated underneath the tail, because that's where there's going to be a shadow. Underneath the feet, more shadow. And as I said, I'm going to have the shadow coming more this way this time. So I'm going to make it a lot darker coming across this way. And that's actually working quite well. It'll be interesting to see how my card number 4 turns out, because I just keep changing everything, which is what happens when you're doing crafting, isn't it? You learn and you change. Alright, I just want to put a little bit more into this shadow shady bit. So I'm really grateful for everybody who comments on my videos and posts and everything on my Facebook page, and who shares things in my group. These cards are actually going out to people who commented on one of my posts, letting me know which of the stamps or animals they liked on this particular stamp set. So if you said that you liked one of them on one of my previous posts, then chances are you're getting a card in the next week or so, depending on the mail. Bev, love watching how people use markers. Yes, I have watched many videos on YouTube. Just great learning experience. So you can see again, I'm coming back in with, this is the dark shade, and I'm just doing, just a very few dots because it is such a darker shade. But then when it comes to where I want it to be a darker shadowed area, I will do more to give that shadow area. And Bev, it's just a matter of practice and trial and error, really. I mean, I've done some colouring in and just gone, no, that's not good, but that's okay. The person won't know what I was trying to achieve. I will send it anyway, and they'll appreciate the fact that I've sent them something. All right, I quite like that. So there's my little mouse, all coloured in, and I turn it like this and realise that it is on a slope, but that's okay. So what we do is that will then fit under here, like so, and this will go on top like so, like that, which is great. Rebecca, mouse must be a thing at the moment. So cute. Yes, the mousey is very much, very cute. All right, so that is colouring in my mouse. There is so much more I could do with this top, but I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to stop this video because it's been going for a little while, and what I will do is I'll come back and I'll show you how to reconstruct this in just a couple of minutes, and that way people can watch two different videos. The stamp set that I showed before, so the one with this on it, that also has bunnies, and it has this gorgeous teddy bear. I think the teddy bear is my favourite, but I have a thing for teddy bears. As I said, this is available at the moment throughout the month of January from my website, charlotteburns.ctmh.com.au. Then it's $34 for this stamp set, which is a great price for all the stamps you get. Or if you make a purchase of $80 or more, you can actually get it for only $9. Now, if you think that's a bargain, you can get it two more ways. You can either join as a VIP, or if you are a VIP, your $80 purchase gets you this stamp set for free rather than the $9. Or for the month of January, you can also join as a maker. Now, as a maker, you get 22% off retail prices. So where VIPs, you get 15% of your purchase price plus a free stamp of the month every month with a qualifying purchase. As a maker, you get 22% off your purchases. That's only during January. You can join for $20 and you get $22 in CTMH cash. So you're more or less getting paid $2 to join as a maker during January. If you're a VIP and you're thinking about joining to get the 22% discount, then your VIP credit get converted to CTMH cash. So it's pretty well the same thing. Now, you will see advertised that it says it's 25% commission. I'm talking about 22% off the retail price. So when you're working it out, it's 22% off the retail price. All right, that's my little spiel. Michelle missed the start. Did I talk about the cutting of them? I did, so you can go back and watch the start, but the next video will also show how I cut it again and then how I'm going to construct it. So stress not. And Bev, you love the teddy bear as well. Well, you know, kindred spirits. All right, hope you enjoyed this video of colouring in the little Mouseketeer. Join me shortly for another video of how to put this card together to create this gorgeous effect. And I might even show you some of the other cards I've made. All right, thanks for watching, and bye for now, lovelies.